Hello and welcome to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. You are joined by two of your usual hosts, Josh Hartley and Tom Mannering. Tom, how are we doing?
Not too bad, thanks, Josh. How are you?
Yes, yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. And we are joined by Jason from Con Plus 2. Now, I've actually mistakenly titled the recording session Con Plus 1, but of course that would not make sense because this is Con Plus 2. So, hello, Jason. How are we doing?
I'm good, very thanks. Very good. Very good, thanks.
Don't worry. I mean, compared to what gibberish just came out of my mouth, that was really full on professional. So.
Pretty much a standard recording for Josh.
Why do I keep getting you back on here? We're barely a minute into recording and you're slagging me.
You're a glutton for punishment, mate.
I shouldn't make it so easy.
You shouldn't.
I shouldn't. Anyway, we are, of course, going to have a chat about Con Plus 2, what that is, what's been going on, and the exciting giveaways that are going to be happening during the event and telethon as well. But before we dive into that, we've just got a couple of pieces of news that we want to talk about. Shall we start with as you put it, Tom, the quote-unquote Critical Roll controversy?
Yeah, so this happened last week with regards to Critical Role. So to give you some background on this, the American food chain Wendy's, which is sort of a McDonald's-esque food chain, to put it in context for our UK listeners.
McDonald's adjacent, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. Have released their own RPG system called Wendy's Feast of Legends,
right.
Which is sort of a D&D-esque role-playing game that sort of uses play on words around sort of the Wendy's franchise. So you live in the land of Beef's Keep. No, sorry, Freshtovia is the land, and you reside in Beef's Keep, and you have to trek through lands such as the French Fry Forest, the Frosty Canyon, and other such very, very well named locations.
Named presumably after Wendy's products.
Yeah, so everything's sort of very much a commercial tie into Wendy's. Even like your classes and things tie into sort of Wendy's products as well. So Critical Role didn't have a conventional episode. They got sponsored by Wendy's for a one-shot episode where they were going to play Feast of Legends, run by one of their team. And they would basically play these characters, and the episode's actually really good. I've seen the episode. It's quite a funny episode. They do it very tongue-in-cheek while eating Wendy's products. It is the height of sort of commercial product placement. It really reminds me of like the scene in Wayne's World 2 where they do the commercial bit and they have all the sponsorship on them. However, it wasn't that well received by the community because Wendy's have some questionable business practices. I'm not going to get too into because that's a whole thing. But basically, there was a backlash against Critical Role because of the decision to be sponsored by Wendy's when they're considered to be such a kind of forward-thinking company. And as a result of that, Critical Role kind of responded by a public apology and by donating the profits of the sponsorship deal to a company called Farm Worker Justice, which sort of ties into the controversy with Wendy's. So there you go.
Okay. Have Wendy's released any sort of official statement about this?
To my knowledge, no, but don't quote me on that. I've not seen anything, but I've not done a deep dive on it. I think they're just sort of going with it. The episode's still there, you know, they're still sort of proceeding with it. They're just basically saying we're not taking any money from proceedings because we maybe made a couple of questionable decisions in going with it in the first place.
Right,
Personally, I'm a bit sort of controversial on it because I don't see it as that bad a thing. Like, Critical Role is a small company and they do have to make profit somewhere. And, you know, they've got bigger and bigger and bigger as time's gone on. They've got more people to employ. They've got to take money from some people. And, you know, they're not responsible for Wendy's business practices. So I don't know. It's a bit of a tough one because on the one hand, yeah, you know, you don't really want to align yourself with a questionable company, but on the other hand, you've got to feed your employees. So
Yeah, well, one thing I was going to sort of raise is, do we think this was controversial just because of Wendy's and it's Wendy's and they have some shady business practices? I'll have to plead ignorance to, you know, what Wendy's is like. I have no bloody idea. Or is it just the fact that they've done this? Like, if they picked, like, say, an ethical company, he says, racking his brain for a company that you could consider ethical.
Well, to give you an example, so it's not the first time they've had sponsorship deals.
Right.
So they've been sponsored by the likes of Blizzard to do a Warcraft one-shot. They've been sponsored by D&D, so Wizards of the Coast, for a long period of time. They also have some smaller companies that have sponsored them as well. Rook and the Raven is one that sponsored them several times, and Backblaze, which is like an internet backup company. So they've had quite a few sponsors, but I think because of all those, Wendy's is probably the biggest they have ever sort of...
It's also the most left of field, though, right? I think out of the examples you've just given, it's like the internet backup company.
Yeah.
Is kind of like, that's not really Dungeons and Dragons related at all.
No.
But the rest of them are sort of within the sort of same spheres of interest.
Yeah.
Whereas Wendy's is just completely... This is it, like, and I'm now thinking: is this going to be a norm? Are we going to see a Greg's going to come up with I'd play the hell out of that. That would be great.
I mean, Greg's have got a vegan sausage roll. You know, they're really branching out into the wider community these days. So.
Well, I was going to suggest the final boss is Piers Morgan, furious, furious at the vegan sausage rolls.
I don't know. It's a tricky one.
Well, what's your take on this, Jason? Have you seen this sort of thing before?
Not really. I mean, I mentioned to you before that I'd seen a bit about this one-shot thing with Wendy's, but I had no idea of the controversy around it. But it wasn't something I particularly wanted to look into because I just saw the name like Baconator or whatever play on words they tried to do, and I thought, yeah, this isn't really for me anyway. It's not something I deem particularly funny, so I'm not gonna bother with it.
That is absolutely fair enough. I am a man who loves a good pun, but when it's puns about a fast food franchise, I have never stepped foot in. I can't really get behind it. Do you know what it reminds me of? And it's something that I forgot existed until we started talking about this. McDonald's. They haven't done an RPG, but what they have done is, I believe, if I remember correctly, they released a video game on the NES.
They did. Yeah, McDonald's did have an old computer game. They've had a couple, actually, I think. But they had one that was quite famous. I'm just trying to remember what the name of it is.
McKids, I think it was, and it was basically a Mario Brothers 3 clone.
There's been a couple. There's been McKids. There's been McDonald's Treasure Land. There's also been one that I remember playing when I was a kid, which is called Global Gladiators, which is a great game. And the only link it has to McDonald's is basically all the way through the game. There's the McDonald's Golden Arches in the corner of the screen, and that is basically the only link.
It's a game that actually has nothing to do with McDonald's but bears the brand.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just a branded game.
What platform was that released for?
That was for the Sega Mega Drive.
All right, wow. And was it actually good?
I really liked it. I mean, I was a kid, you know, so your mileage may vary on that. Yeah. But I really liked it when I was a kid. I remember playing it to death.
Awesome. Well, join us next time, folks, as we discuss the back catalogue of McDonald's and other fast food chain video games, and we'll start planning our Greg's RPG one-shot and bring that to you at some point soon.
I'm not running that, Josh. I'm not running a Greg's one-shot.
Come on.
No. It's too far.
Will you do the DuckTales one at
I'll
least?
consider the DuckTales one.
Yes. Yes. Moving on.
Yeah.
Before we get on to Complus 2, the thing I wanted to talk about is a Kickstarter project that is currently live. As of this recording, we've got 18 days to go. This is Tilt 5 Holographic Tabletop Gaming, which is putting itself out as a sort of system to play tabletop games through virtual and augmented reality in your living room. Now, if you go on we'll put the Kickstarter link in the show notes, and if you go there, you can watch a video which must have been the most awkward thing in the world to record, because these people are being very enthusiastic about all this digital stuff that's happening in front of them, which, while they were recording, presumably was not actually happening in front of them. So there they are, pretending to like move digital pieces on a digital board that doesn't exist.
It's like when you see people doing stuff on green screen and like there's a character that's not there and they're talking to a tennis ball and stuff.
Exactly right. So that must have been interesting for them to record. However, obviously the idea has turned some heads, and they have smashed their funding goal. Again, as of this recording, they're sitting at $968,000, well above the asking pledge. So it looks like it's going to be a thing that happens. But I don't know, guys. What do we think of this?
It's a thing. I can definitely say it's a thing.
Tilt 5, it's a thing.
Yeah, I mean they could put that on the box. I don't know. I always think like there is going to come a point when there's going to be sort of a combination, right? They're going to merge sort of analog and digital, and we've already seen it beforehand. And this is certainly kind of moving closer towards it. Do I think it's going to be massive? Maybe, probably not, though. I mean, it looks interesting, and someone's got to break ground with it, so you know they've got that going for them. But I'm not. Yeah, it's a thing.
Nonplussed.
Yeah,
is what I'm getting from you. Well, so for me, it comes down to two things, right? One, does it actually work?
I mean, that's a big thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that seems like a ridiculous thing to say, but you know, with any new tech products that come out, they'll promise the world, and if it doesn't deliver, then it's just it's a failure. I'm looking at the Virtua Boy from like the mid-90s, for example, right?
Yep.
So you know, if my new tabletop experience is going to give me a seizure, then I'd rather not. The other thing, of course, is price as well. If even if it does work, I'm not going to spend like 400 quid on one of these things. So I actually could have found this out before we started recording. Well, here we go. So the basic pledge is the equivalent of £245.
Yeah, that's what I had a feeling it would be that high starting.
That's steep.
Exactly. So, and to put that into context, you can get like video game consoles for that much. So, if it works, it's something I want to try. But is it a gimmick that I want to plug 245 quid? Evidently, they've found plenty of people who do, but I don't know.
Well, one of the things they've got that they're advertising alongside it is that they're sort of teaming up with Fantasy Grounds, who do a lot of like they're sort of a Roll20-esque service and allow you to use role-playing games online, right? But I know people who have taken like basically a TV and put it on its back on your table and basically just projected maps onto it and projected D&D stuff onto it and used that as a board.
And you can use it as a touchscreen as well and do it that way.
And you can do that for a fraction of the price. You know, you can get a decent TV now for 100 quid. And you can use it as a normal TV as well.
If you have one of those really fancy, those big tabletop tables that you can buy from a few companies, some of them with an optional additional price, you can even install an extra TV into it.
Wow.
Yeah. And like I mean, obviously we're talking like Geek and Son and those
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
companies. So you're probably spending thousands on a
Mm.
tabletop gaming table anyway. So what what's a little bit more to have a TV screen in my super pimped out like tabletop table? So
Why not?
yeah,
I don't know. I give it the benefit of the doubt, but I wouldn't pay 250 quid for it because, as you say, I could go and get a current gen console for that. You get a Switch and a couple of games for that, you know.
yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So, but anyway, they've succeeded in their funding goal, and watch this space, and we'll no doubt give you more news as and when that develops. Anyway, so I think that's all the current affairs that we were wanting to discuss. So let's move on to Con Plus Two. So Jason, you were saying Con Plus Two when this recording comes out will be happening right now,
Yep, right now.
right now. So stop listening, guys, and go to Con Plus Two. But we'll do the same bit that I did when we first had you on, Jason, for Con Plus One. Where is Con Plus Two being held?
It's completely online. So no
Way,
matter
it's
where you are
everywhere.
in the world, as long as you've got internet connection, webcam, microphone, you can tune in.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And what it is an online RPG convention, and you can just go on the website. Series of games that have still got places available to go and book a place, and yeah, just play some RPGs with some friends or new friends, and just have a good time. But you're also raising money for charity as well.
Yeah, that's right. So we've made a few changes this year. We've made things bigger. So, for example, with the games for a second. So yeah, as you said, there are games that are available to join if you want to, and they're happening throughout the weekend. But we've kind of opened it up to whatever you want to do. So even if, for example, you want to play something in real life, you don't even have to broadcast or record it or anything, but run it for Com Plus, kind of make it a community thing. Um,
Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, so I mean, one of the things that people were a little bit averse to, or some people were, was they didn't really want to be live because not everyone's comfortable with that.
Hmm.
Which we understand. I think, us two, we're on the camera nearly all the time, so we're completely used to it. But other people, they're not, which is absolutely fine. So what we said was, okay, well, we will change things a little bit. So you don't have to do it on YouTube. You don't have to have Facebook accounts and things like that. You can do it on whatever platform you want. So Hangouts, if it's still working by 2 days from now, Twitch, Discord, anything like that. Or again, if you want to do it real life in your FLGS or in your own home, absolutely fine. Doesn't matter. Just let us know about it. Like make yourself known. We also have Doomtown returning, who are basically they're doing a big tournament on OCTGN. And basically, Doomtown Reloaded is like a card game based on the Deadlands RPG. So they're
Yeah.
running a 60-hour tournament. I believe it was
Oh.
only a day last year, but now they've extended it to 60 hours. So you can drop in whenever you want, play some tournament games. There's a load of rules, which I'm not the best person to explain because I've not actually played a Deadlands game before myself, and there's quite a lot of tournament rules and things.
Hmm.
But that's another thing as well if you want to check out. But yeah, we are indeed raising money for charity as before, as we have always done. Although this year we're changing it to the Butterfly Project. So last year we
Okay.
raised money for Child's Play. We've done that for a good few years, but we decided to make the change to Child's Play for a couple of reasons. One was Becky kind of got to know the organizer and some of the kids just before the previous con, and this was something that interested both of us straight away.
Hmm.
They mainly deal with RPGs, which is kind of more relevant to us, whereas Child's Play is kind of video games.
Yeah,
So, I mean, we love video games, but we're an RPG convention, so it seemed more relevant to us.
that's
Um,
fair. Yeah.
but also, this is a very small charity compared to Child's Play. So we think we can make a really big difference to these kids. And we've spoken to them. We've got footage that we're going to be showing throughout the con of what they do with this thing called the Butterfly Project. And they're even running their own game, or possibly a couple of games for the convention.
Yeah, excellent,
Nice.
excellent. So I would ask, are you taking part in any games? But I'm assuming you will be puppet master for the weekend, just making sure everything runs on time. Are there any games you wish you could take part in?
Yeah, I mean, actually, we are squeezing into a game tomorrow morning.
Oh, yay!
But apart from that, no, we're not, unfortunately. But yeah, there's a couple that look really good. There's a couple of horror games. There's one which is kind of AD&D, but quite like immersive. It's got quite a dark, intriguing theme to it. That's run by a guy called Lord Morbius. So that looked really good. So unfortunately, we can't be in that. What else is there? There's one which is really intriguing, and it's almost full. I have no idea what system it's for, but it's called Robot Raiding, and it's technically been run on the Monday. But it's basically a fusion of Halloween with robots and something to do with your sort of you. I think either you've made a deal or you made a pact with somebody, and you're given sort of money up front to go and sort this thing out.
Do you mean
So
Halloween
cool.
the holiday or Halloween the movie?
I imagine the holiday more than the movie. It looked fairly sort of PG-13.
Okay.
Okay, we're not going to see that's the plot twist. The final boss is Michael Myers.
I don't know if it'll be Michael Myers.
Yeah.
We're legally obligated to say it will not be Michael Myers.
No, it sounds awesome. That I haven't really done an awful lot of horror RPG stuff. Tom, you've been dabbling a bit with Call of Cthulhu, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done. I mean, horror RPG is my jam. I do a lot more Pathfinder and D&D than I do horror, but I do really enjoy horror RPGs, both playing and GMing them. I think it's a great form of RPG because it's a safe way of sort of enjoying that kind of thing. It's very easy to piece out if it gets a bit too real, which sort of things like haunted houses and things like that, and these kind of horror experiences can be a bit daunting. If you're like, I'm quite into horror, but I'm also very easy to be pushed over the edge when it comes to being scared. I'm not ashamed to admit. So I quite like the safety of a gaming table for that kind of thing.
I too scare very easily, and that is why I don't really dabble with that sort of stuff. I don't think people need to hear me scream in a really high pitched tone. So, but yeah, I was having a look through you've of course got a big giveaway throughout the weekend as well.
Oh yeah.
The list of prizes available is humongous because I was going to pick through some of them and have a talk, but there's actually there's almost too much. I don't know where to begin.
We have about 340 prizes.
Whew.
That is a lot of prizes.
That's not even like just items, that's prizes. So some prizes have multiple things in it. That's how many things we've got. We've worked out that it's quite possible we'll overrun because we physically have not got the time to give them all away potentially in 24 hours, but we'll try our best. But yeah, it's incredible. We've got about, I would say, not nearly double the amount of prizes this year, and we've got about 60 sponsors. We probably won't go any higher than that the next time we do the con because, as you said, it is just humongous and it's crazy amounts. But it's just incredibly satisfying to see, you know, when you sort of talk to so many people about it, how much they want to kind of invest and help and support us. So we've released a few sort of sponsor videos of them talking about the Butterfly Project and how much it means to them, which is just amazing. It's been really amazing to meet so many people who are willing to help with this.
That's really good. That's really cool.
Awesome.
I've actually just run the numbers, and if you wanted to give away all those prizes over 24 hours, you'd need to give away a prize about every 5 minutes. That's crazy.
Hmm.
And that's all happening on the Saturday as well. I think the prize that I would be coveting the most would probably be the big prize from DMB Games, the resin dungeon set and accessory pack as well, which is just like absolutely, yeah, just
Yeah,
absolutely massive.
we've done so well with miniatures this year. We didn't really have any miniatures at all last year, if I remember rightly. We did have a few sort of dice accessories, but no miniatures. So this year, there's 3-star prizes.
Hmm.
I imagine you're talking about the biggest one, which indeed
Yes.
is this. We've got a resin set from D&B Games, like a core dungeon set. We've got a Thermarillion voucher, which, if you
Hmm.
don't know Thermarillion, they basically do really good dungeon accessories. And
Hmm.
Becky's basically done a video, which will be done through the con, where she sort of goes through what she has. But they're really good little things you can put in, really interesting. And then we've also got oh my god, I've just remembered how big this list was because it's yeah, I think we put it on there now. But the Reaper,
The Reaper,
the Reaper
the
stuff
Reaper
comes
bow,
with it.
like the Reaper miniatures list. I was just reading it, and it's absurd.
Well, basically, they wanted to give us a few lichers, but they didn't have enough. So instead, they gave us a £100 voucher and said, "Okay, go and spend this um, on the website, and then you can use that as the prize." And we're like, "Okay."
Nice.
So we put in all the sort of essential things. So we've got a few gnolls in there. We've got some orcs, goblins, all the sort of creepy crawlies you might get,
Hmm.
things like that. So that's the massive one. But if you don't win that one, there are 2 more star prizes. One is similar but not quite as massive as that. So another DMB core set, another Thermarine voucher, and then we've got some undead miniatures from Reaper. And
Hmm.
then another one is basically the Thermarine voucher and the Reaper undead, but rather than the DMB core set, we've got, and it's still amazing, a £100, or is it $100? I think it's $100 actually, $100 voucher to spend in the Heroic Maps catalog. So it's
Oh yeah, I
$100
saw
worth
that as well.
of printable maps.
Oh, fantastic. Is this is all happening on the Saturday? Is that right?
Yep, so we're going from Saturday to Sunday, 24 hours, 12 p.m. to 12 p.m. UTC, or for British people, it's an hour after. But we're doing it
Hmm.
UTC to keep it as international as possible.
Yeah.
All you have to do is attend the telethon. So all the info is on the website where you basically sort of sign up. And we'll be doing the stream on YouTube. To actually enter in for the prizes, as it were, all you have to do is participate in the chat
Hmm.
whilst we're talking about said prize. And then what happens is, again, bigger than last year. Last year we just sort of rolled some dice and see who got the matching number, but we've actually made our own prize fighter. So it's basically a like a 3D. It's not like really state of the art because we've
Hmm.
made it, of course, but it's like it's sort of a 3D kind of animation where you're put in as a gladiator. You fight with each other. You don't control it yourself. It's all kind of random. But if you donate more, you can actually make your character a bit stronger. And
Okay.
if you win something, your character gets weaker. Um, and we will explain more of that on
Ah.
the telethon as well, obviously. But we thought it'd be a great way for people to have fun with that. They can put in a little bit more if they want, and put something towards the Butterfly Project, or they can try their luck and maybe they'll win something
No.
if
Awesome.
they
No,
persist.
that actually sounds like a really cool way of doing a raffle. So,
You've mentioned it a couple of times. What is the website?
Yep. So the website is complus.live. https://
Little plug there.
yeah, we are. So check that out, guys. And obviously, Con Plus 2 will be starting on Friday, the 11th, and running all the way through to the Monday. So if you get a chance, go to the website and take part and join in. But with that note, I think that is just about all we've got time for. So, Jayson, thank you very much again for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Best of luck with the con, and we'll no doubt hear from you soon. And for you listening at home, thanks for listening, and take care. Bye.
Cheers.